Good morning. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today on the topic Optimize with AdSense. I am your host, Ceyda Zaim, and I will be, my co-host today is Joseph.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to be with you today.
Yeah, great. So I know you're spread all over Europe, so it will be great if you can use the chat window throughout the session. And we can start with a quick introduction round of where is everyone from. I'm currently based in Dublin, working from home since March. So excuse me if there is any disruption during the live stream regarding internet connectivity or technological problems. But we are doing our best to make everything run smooth. Joseph is located in France. You're still in France, right?
Yep, still in France. I usually work from Dublin, but today and since March as well, I've been working from France.
Yeah, so just like you, I see there are people from UK, Romania, Poland, so it's a very diverse group, and we will be kicking off shortly. So let's, well, a quick round of introduction before we start. Like I said, I am Ceyda. I'm a publisher growth specialist here at Google and online partnerships group for the last 2.5 years. I have been working with publishers like yourselves to help monetize your accounts and grow your revenue. I worked with publishers from Turkey, the German-speaking regions, Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, as well as UK and Ireland. Joseph?
And I'm Joseph, so I occupied the same position as Ceyda, but I'm in charge of the French market and the Spanish market. So, bonjour à tous, s'il y a des francophones dans la salle, y hola a todos, si hay españoles.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so before our presentation, let's cover some housekeeping rules. So from our friends in legal, there is a small ask. We want that this information contained in the presentation is confidential and not to be externally shared, because you will actually receive the presentation and the recording by filling the feedback survey, CSAT survey we sent you after the webinar. So please give us your opinion. These webinars, these live streams are all made for you. And we are constantly looking at your feedback to see improvements, what topics you want us to cover, etc. And by filling this in the submission thank you page, you can access the links for both presentation and the deck. So let's take a quick look at today's agenda, what we will cover. So today's session is mostly about earnings and how to optimize your earnings. First, we'll take a closer look at how your earnings are calculated, and then we will go one by one, how to improve your CPC, and how to improve your CTR, and how to improve your traffic. So let's get to with the first part and explain the metrics. So earnings are calculated in a way that we consider CPC, so which stands for cost per click, times CTR, click-through rate, times number of page views. So this is the magic formula. CPC is the amount you earn each time a user clicks on your ad. The CPC, cost per click, for any ad is determined by the advertiser. Some advertisers may be willing to pay more per click than others, depending on what they're advertising. Then comes CTR, the click-through rate, which is calculated as clicks divided by ad impressions. So CTR is the number of ad clicks divided by the number of page views, which gives us the page CTR. And a page view is what Google counts in your reports every time a user views a page displaying Google Ads. So your page view is correlated with your traffic. Please remember that a page view, which Google AdSense captures, may be different than the page view your Google Analytics account may capture. Why? The main reason is the tagging. So when you put AdSense ad unit tag codes on your pages, AdSense will only capture those page views. As you know, according to our Google Publisher policies, there are a couple of pages like login pages, payment pages, which cannot have Google ad tags. So next to click-related metrics, we also have impression-based earning methods, which are CPM and RPM. So CPM, cost per mil, cost per 1,000 impressions, is what advertisers pay. A type of bidding when advertisers bid on cost per 1,000 impressions. And in our end, in the publisher side of things, it translates into revenue per mil, so revenue per 1,000 impressions, which represents the estimated earnings you'd accrue for every 1,000 impression you receive. The formulation is estimated earnings divided by number of page views times 1,000. So I just want to highlight, so when we do the calculations, let me give you a short explanation again. When an advertiser makes an advertising campaign, they may say, I want to pay 5 cents for each individual click. However, when they do a CPM-based campaign, they will say, I want to pay 50 cents for 1,000 impressions. On our end, we earn either per click based or an average of all the RPM, CPM based bids. So let's take a closer look on different strategies advertisers can bid and how it is reflected in your account. So the left part of the screen is the advertiser bid strategies, and on the right hand side we see how it shows us in our Google AdSense user interface. So advertisers can bid on a cost per click basis, cost per 1,000 impression basis, target cost per action, target return on ad spend, viewable cost per 1,000 impressions, and cost per engagement. Mostly they are billed either for clicks or impressions. We will touch base on viewable cost per 1,000 impressions on a whole different segment of today's session, which is very important for us to know and work towards excelling our viewability. In our end, we see CPC bids, CPM bids, active view CPM bids, and CPE bids, which is cost per engagement. Cost per engagement is defined by the advertiser. It can be, so it's defined as, say, a advertiser is selling a subscription or a newsletter or selling a couple of items, right? They can say, for each engagement, I'm willing to pay X amount of money. And the engagement are defined on their end, which can be a newsletter subscription, a product purchase, or a subscription purchase. So we can also see them in our account. So these are the main definitions of earnings. We hear a lot from our publishers that earnings are declining from time to time, and sometimes it's not as clear why. Therefore, we heard your feedback and we introduced a new troubleshooter in our AdSense Help Center. By using this 5-step troubleshooter, you can identify the issue of your earnings drop. The main reasons that addresses are, again, CPC drop, CTR drop, and impressions drop. You can use, if you're on your phone and your laptop and you have your phone at hand, you can use a QR code to access it right away. If not, we will be sending this presentation, so you can just click on the link or go to our Help Center and search for troubleshoot a drop in earnings, as seen on the right-hand side of the presentation, which will take you to 5 different steps and help you identify the reason by looking at your reports. This is an amazing tool. Please, please, please use it and spread the word. So let's see each individual earning piece and what we can do to influence them and hopefully grow them. So let's take a closer look at CPC. CPC is, there are 2 factors that can influence CPCs. One is external and one is the publisher side. We can take actions about. So the external factors that influence CPC are advertiser demand. So some advertisers may be willing to pay more for certain types, or like it's say it is blooming in one industry, or other advertisers may be holding a little bit back. Location of publishers, users, and advertisers. Like I mentioned, all of you today joining us are from different markets. So if you're also operating in different markets, you can see in your AdSense countries report that each country may have a different CPC, a different CPM, and a different earning. So location and the geography is also is a factor. Seasonality is a third one. Seasonality would especially be very prominent if you are a publisher or if your website is very season oriented. Let's say Black Friday, we see a huge spike. If it is about winter sports, you would probably see an increasing demand and an increasing earning from September onwards. Vice versa, if you are a summer, I don't know, travel beach website, it may start in early spring. So seasonality is an important factor. Then we have verticals. Each vertical being e-commerce, news, travel, finance may have different earnings because advertisers are willing to pay in a different aspect. Then let's take a closer look at the three factors that are defined by a publisher and we can actually take actions, which are blocked categories, ads coverage, and adding more ads with auto ads. Blocked categories. So I know a lot of publisher goes to the ad review center and blocking controls to check the sensitive and general categories. This is good if your brand is very sensitive, if your audience is sensitive, and there are certainly a couple of categories you don't want to show. However, we are not recommending you to shut out a lot of different categories. So you can go and check your incoming advertisers and incoming ads on an individual URL and advertiser basis. So just note that too many ads categories blocked leads to less advertisers competing for your ads, which influences lower revenues. We recommend to block specific ads rather than whole categories. And you can review this by going to blocking controls, content, all sites, and checking sensitive categories and general categories. So you can see there the number of ads coming in, number of revenue coming in, and what is the revenue you may be missing out. So take a closer look at your sensitive and general categories and try to unblock as much as possible and only block on an individual URL or ad basis to maximize your demand and let more advertisers compete for your ad space, which increases auction pressure and makes sure you gain and you capture the highest paying ads at all times. The next part is maximizing demand on an ad unit and a dimension basis. So we know, according to all of our research and the data, we know that there are a couple of optimal ad sizes, which on desktop are 300 by 250, 300 by 300, 336 times 280, which are more square sizes. And then we have horizontal sizes like 700, 7 to 8 by 90, or a vertical ad size 300 by 600. These are the ad formats these are the ad units that work better if you want to commit on a fixed ad size. And on mobile, we have 320 by 100 or 300 by 250. However, we don't want to commit only on 5-6 specific ad units. Our recommendation is trying responsive ad units. And when you switch your ad unit to responsive ad units, we do all of these sizing and auctioning for you. So you let Google automatically optimize the size of your ad units on mobile with ad sizes optimization setting, especially for mobile, and you can still introduce responsive ad units for desktop. So we will touch this later on, but as you know, users are connecting to internet across multiple devices. We are on our laptops, our tablets, our smartphones, which come in different shapes and sizes. Therefore, we want to make sure that all the user experience is at its best by having responsive websites and introducing responsive ad units. Especially if your AdSense and your website was old or was done a couple of years back and you have not touched your ad units, I encourage you to review your site with responsive ads. So you can go on your AdSense user interface, click on Optimization tab on the left navigation panel, and then you will see opportunities. When you click on Opportunities tab, there is a small icon. So it can either be a card that says try responsive ad units, or there's a small gear icon. You click and you can select let Google optimize 100% of my mobile units and click save. So without you having to do anything further, Google will turn your existing ad units to responsive ad units on mobile. If you're unsure, you can also preview this beforehand by going to your website / introducing this snippet, #Google _responsive _slot _preview. Perfect. Now we are going back to Joseph to talk about native ads.
Thank you very much, Jada. And I'm now going to talk about native ads, as just said, which are another way to sort of maximize demand on your AdSense account. So if we look at, in general, native ads, what they're really good and the formats that they offer are three of a kind: in-feed, in-article, and match content. What our recommendations are with regards to these ads is they're another source of demand. They don't come to replace your display ad units necessarily, but there might be a way to add new ad units to your website. If we look at the next slide, you'll see that there's three main advantages to native ads. The first one is that they offer, in general, a better user experience because they match the look and feel of your website. They integrate better to the design and thus don't have the same experience as display ad units. As I was saying, they offer you the possibility to go and have new potential ad spaces to your website, most notably for in-feed ads, for instance, because they integrate perfectly in your news articles feed, for instance, or at the bottom of your page, if you're going to have match content, they can be really a way to monetize spaces on your site that you were not previously monetizing. And finally, something that is also worth noting is that native ads are ideal for monetizing mostly mobile pages because they are adapted to the experience on mobile. If we look at the specifics of the different styles, we start by the in-feed ad, which really fits in the feed of your articles, as you can see here on the picture. It's very customizable. You can choose all of the colors, the fonts that you want to look at. There's also a very useful tool which allows Google to suggest a style for you, in which you just have to input the URL of the page where you would like to add an in-feed style into the tool, and it will suggest a style based on what he sees on your website. You can still then customize everything to really adapt it to your best possible needs. One point here is that we also encourage you to allow the selected display ads in the global options settings when creating an in-feed ad, because this will allow display ad units to still be eligible in your in-feed ads. This means that if from time to time display ad units might perform better than an in-feed ad in this case, we will still display this ad units. This is also available for in-article ads, which is the next type of native ad we will look into. Again, this is really to have an optimal ad placement within your content articles, which are less maybe intrusive than typical ad units. Again, Google may optimize the layout of the ad, the call to action button, for instance, and again, you can customize everything. As for in-feed ad units, please allow selected ad units. For the content match content parts, yes, this is really a way for you to increase engagement on your website. The goal is to promote content that is already on your website that may boost page views. So it will recommend articles that are available on your website and point the users towards them. It will be mostly relevant content. And what is also nice is that we allow you to monetize this extra content. So within the recommendations that we offer, we will always include an ad. You can, again, configure this as you like. There's a lot of options, but it's very good as a tool to improve the number of page views on your site, but also the time that people spend on your site. In general, it will lead to a higher number of sessions per page. And here, this is a tool that is really well used in collaboration with Google Analytics. So we really encourage you to check out those reports. If we move on to the next phase, is just to say that the setting up of native ads is quite simple. If you go to your AdSense account, you'll see on the menu on the left an ads menu. The first page you'll see is an overview page, and then you have different tabs, the by site tab, and secondly, the by ad unit tab. This is where it all happens. This is how you create, in general, manual ad units. And here you'll see that on the top, you have the option to choose which type of ad you'd like to choose, and you have the 3 native formats that we have just talked about. Once you choose the format that you want to work with, you customize the ad according to your website look and feel, and then you simply copy and paste the code on your site. There's a lot of indications provided in the tool to exactly help you in this way and how to do this, but also on the AdSense Help Center. So again, feel free to go check the AdSense Help Center. I hope some of you have already tried the native ads. Feel free to let us know in the comments if it is also the case. If we move on to the next part, we're going to talk briefly about auto ads, which I think a lot of you are already aware of. This is a product that has been very important on AdSense and has gotten very good results over the past few years. Something that we want to highlight here really is that it's a nice way to exemplify how important your feedback is for us, because we have always listened to your feedback, and the first version of the tool was not ideal. But since September, October, a new one is available, and this has really included your feedback, notably on all of the configuration options that you have. You now have much more options to configure auto ads on your websites. You have access to new formats. You can have access to a preview, which shows you exactly where the ads are going to be shown. And these have been great improvements suggested by you guys. So thank you very much. One thing that we want to promote here with auto ads is that we have very recently launched auto ads experiments, which, if you're not really sure if you want to try auto ads yet, you can now do an A/B test on your website. On 50% of your traffic, you can activate auto ads and see what results it brings to your site over the next 3 months. To do this, you again go to the auto ads UI, which you can access through the ads menu again, but this time in the by site tab. You can then mostly see all of your websites linked to your account. And on the very right, you'll see a little pencil. If you click this pencil, you will access what you can now see on the page, which is really the preview of auto ads and how you can set up everything. You have a control panel on the right where you can choose to activate auto ads, the formats, the load, and then you see the apply to site button. So again, this is to say that everything that you do on this preview section will not be applied to your site until you choose this. And when you click on this button, you can now choose to run the A/B test on 50% of your traffic for 3 months. This is really to encourage you to maybe be a bit curious about what the tool can do for your site, because we've seen positive results and think that everyone should give it a try. If we move on to the next tab, we have also made this experiment available in another section on the AdSense user interface. As mentioned by Jada earlier on, this happens in the optimization tab. We really recommend that you go to this tab quite frequently because it has a lot of resources and tips for you to improve your usage of AdSense. And one of these is now the auto ads experiment. So again, this will work similarly. You will click the auto ads experiment. you then can choose which websites you would like to use to run the experiment on, and then move forward. And then again, you set it up as previously shown, and then apply to site. Another important tool or aspect of auto ads is that it allows you to monetize your AMP pages. Again, please feel free to let us know in the comments if you are already using AMP pages, because they are very good. They are a very good experience for users. It allows for a perfect user experience. Well, not perfect, sorry, but a better user experience, and you can monetize these pages through auto ads. Again, it's quite simple. If you go to this overview tab on the ads menu, as I was explaining earlier, you are now in the buy site tab, and you have the list of your websites down below, the status of the auto ads for each of these sites, and above to the top right corner, you can see a button. Can't read for now. But it's basically, if you have AMP version on your site, you click on there, and this will run you through how you can configure auto ads on your AMP site. It's again a simple code snippet to add to your pages, and auto ads will be available. If you're ready to get started, it's very simple. So we really encourage you to do so. If you're not yet convinced, maybe run the experiment, but we hope that you see positive results from it. Thank you, and I will now bring back Jada for the next part on the click-through rate.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joseph. Now that we got native ads and auto ads covered, which increases our chances to get higher CPCs, let's take a closer look at how to get those ads clicked and get a higher CTR. So there are, again, 4 factors that may influence our click-through rate. One of them being location of the ads, ad implementation, site layout design, and viewability of the ads. So ad implementation is an important part that I would like to highlight, because sometimes it may be that when we are doing changes to the ads or to the website source code, we may there may be something going wrong, or and the ad code may be faulty. So always please make sure that the ad implementation, everything is correct, and your ads are seen and clickable as intended. Site layout and design is also very important. You would like to make sure that your sites are responsive, and the ad units, their locations and their placement are accessible regardless of your users coming in from mobile, tablet, or desktop. Now let's dig into viewability, which is a very important metric for click-through rate, because if an ad cannot be seen, it cannot be clicked, right? Let's talk about viewability. First of all, I would like to ask our publishers, so you guys, do you know your viewability? Is this a metric you constantly check, or do you know your current viewability rates? I'm going to take a look at the comments and see if people are answering. So, if you know your viewability on top of your hand, feel free to share. If not, let's talk about the terminology. So viewability is a measure of how many of your impressions are viewable. An impression is considered viewable when it has appeared within a user's browser and has the opportunity to be seen. Viewability is a standard introduced and commonly used by AIB, which is the International Advertising Bureau, and Google complies with this industry-wide standard. And the measurement is 50% of an ad is in user's view for 1 consecutive second for display ads, and 2 consecutive seconds for video ads. An active view reporting provides data to inform you the number of viewable impressions on your site. Let me take a look. Perfect. So we already have people answering. That is about 60%, 70%, 50%, and there are other publishers that are not considering. So for the publishers that are not aware of viewability and have not considered that, it's very important. So please pay close attention, because it is a great way to grow your revenue. Why? Because advertisers can actually see your viewability and make bidding decisions based on your viewability rates. Depending on the DSP or the ad network they use, they can see on a site level, ad level, and fold level. So for example, before joining Google, I was working at an advertiser agency, and we had a customer, and the brand would pay double amount of CPM and CPC bids just to aim for those places for the ad units that have viewabilities higher than 60-70%. So advertisers want their ad spend to be meaningful, and that whenever they show an ad, the users can actually see it and interact with it. And viewability is positively correlated with CPM and CTR. Increasing viewability can lead to higher performing ads. So if your ads are seen, then it can be clicked, right? If we pack our website with ads and say most of them are below the fold or it's too cluttered on the bottom of the page, if those ads cannot be seen, they cannot be clicked. So we want to make sure that our ads in the optimal positions and they are viewable. And our analysis shows that the CPMs can be 26% higher for inventory that has a 50%, above 50% predicted probability of being viewable. These are estimates. Your individual account may work different, but these are good indications that show a revenue increase is very likely. So you want to meet the market demand. Unfortunately, currently in digital advertising ecosystem, 58% of the impressions are not seen. Let's work together by decreasing this number, making it less than 50% by introducing better ad placements. And publishers with better than average or above 70% viewability rates will have a distinct advantage in the marketplace as buyers filter out unviewed impressions. So they can even check domain level, and if the domain level viewability is, say, 10%, 20%, they may choose to block and not buy from those websites. So please, please, please make sure that you keep an eye on your viewability. How to improve your viewability? So if your content is captivating, if your users are spending more time engaging with your content, the likelier they are to click on your ads. So content categories that are known for holding viewers' attention are games, arts and entertainment, and shopping. They tend to have higher viewability. Then, of course, increasing your page speed, especially if you're on mobile, but it also works for desktop. We advise you to analyze and optimize for speed and responsiveness. You can check Google's free tools like Page Speed Insights and Mobile Test My Site with mobile to see how your mobile and desktop websites are doing across different locations, connectivity speeds, and see our recommendations on how to make your websites load even faster. You can use Accelerated Mobile Pages format, AMP, which uses shared components across web. So when a user visitor comes to your website, it already uses cookies and cached content from AMP components, so your website loads faster. And on top of this, if we introduce AMP ad units, the ad units will also load faster. So AMP is a great tool. And if you're a WordPress publisher, you can use the official AMP WordPress plugin and easily convert your website to AMP. How many of you are using AMP? Have you tried and see the increase in your page speed and your earnings? Because I know individual publishers who adopt AMP formats, they also have a significantly higher RPMs and CPCs on AMP specific ad units. Besides this, we also recommend implementing lazy loading. So your ads at the bottom of your page will load as the user scrolls down. And if you're a Google Ad Manager user or you're using different ad networks, we also encourage you to minimize passbacks. So by each call of the code, there can be a latency and loss of ad unit information. So when we minimize passbacks, the latency is reduced, the more information is shared, therefore ads load faster and they become more viewable. Another part that we mentioned before in the responsive ad units section is responsive website design. Building responsive ad site designs are very important. You can do this in your site or app to provide a great user experience, no matter where content, no matter where someone's watching your content. So we have different metrics here. For example, currently mobile users are experiencing 55% viewability, whereas tablet can be around 45% viewability and desktop is at 42%. Our recommendation is to push these further up. So typically a mobile viewability can be around 55-60% because of the mobile screen's layout, whereas tablets are encouraged to be again above 50-60%. And in desktop website formats and the web desktop devices, we have even more space to have better viewability. Therefore, a desktop viewability should be somewhere around 60-70%. In your Google AdSense account, you have viewability metrics in each breakdown. So you can break your viewability metrics down into platforms, ad units, websites, and many more. So please familiarize yourselves with those reports. And the next part is to using the right ad sizes. We have two distinctions here, above the fold and below the fold. What we call fold is when a user comes to your website, opens the page, they see the first initial part. So this will be above the fold. When they scroll down, then they reach below the fold. So each scroll, each section of your website is considered fold. And if we introduce more ads above the fold, they would typically have higher viewability. And we also recommend, here you can see common ad sizes and their viewabilities. I will send you this slide like mentioned, so you can familiarize yourself better, but I just want to highlight the taller ads, so which can be a skyscraper on your right or left side of the screen. They work good for 300 by 600 formats and 320 by 50 for mobile. It's also important to place ads on where your users are looking at. So while top center is typically one of the most viewable position on a page, take the time to understand where users spend time on your website. So we saw that obviously the masthead part is a good indication and it's very viewable, but also a lot of people are looking at below the fold on the right bottom side where the content is. So if you introduce more ads and embed it in the content, people may spend more time reading the content and being exposed to the ad unit more. So a couple of best practices to wrap up. Aim for a viewability rate of 70% above for your top performing ad units. Not every ad unit will have this metric, this percentage, but for your top ad units, make sure they are at their optimal percentage point. To get there, follow viewability best practices, such as reducing page length, placing ads right above the fold, using vertical ad sizes, keep creating engaging and creative content, and increasing your page speed. So back to the auto ads piece, we have two amazing ad units formats that are purely exclusive to mobile and is only accessible via ad units. These are mobile exclusives, and it is the first one is anchor ads, which is a sticky ad that sticks at the edge of your user's mobile screen, easily dismissible. You can navigate and you can tailor it for your website's needs if you want it to be sticked at the bottom or at the top of your page. It should not cover your website's branding on any sticky menu you may have. So anchor ads have amazing viewability. They have above 80, 85, 90%, and they are a great way to earn additional revenue and improve your mobile viewabilities. The next piece is vignette ads. Vignette ads is kind of similar to the mobile app interstitials. However, in auto ads, they are capped, they are frequency capped, not to annoy the publishers and give them the best user experience as possible. Vignette ads appear in between page loads on mobile. So when a page user comes to your website, and as they surf further on multiple exit pages, they may see vignette ads. And like we mentioned, it is capped to provide a good user experience. Vignette ads have very high viewability, and unlike Anchor, they come in different and more full immersive ad unit sizes. So they have a higher pool of auction, and they are easily dismissible, and they have very high RPMs. So I would like to ask you guys right now, have you been using Vignette or Anchor ads? Is there any good best practices? Maybe you can encourage each other to work with Vignette or Anchor ads. Even if you're not using auto ads for display insertions, these are the two easy wins. I encourage all of you to go and opt in today and enable Vignette and Anchor and monitor how it works for your mobile websites. So please keep in mind that advertisers can see viewability rates at an ad unit level. Use your homepage viewability metric as a directional guide and keep ad units with low viewability rates if they generate incremental revenue. So they, for example, match content sometimes may not have the best viewability, but they increase your on like the user's time spent on the website. They introduce incremental revenue. So they are good to have. So please be careful while making decisions. You can also see and measure your ads viewability by using our viewability benchmarks across globe. You can go to this website, www.thinkwithgoogle.com /feature viewability demo, and you can select your specific country and check your check the country's viewability rates across YouTube ads, web and app video ads, and display ads. Probably for most of us, display ads are the main metric we can focus on here. And as you can see in the UK, 50% of display ads are viewed. So the other 50% was never interacted, was never seen, never clicked. So we want to make sure we are above market benchmark and we are above the industry standard. And as mentioned, you can check your ad units viewability metrics if you go to your AdSense reports page, report by ad unit, and then click on active views tab. You can see this for all time and check how different ad units compare with each other. So last but not least, we have traffic related piece, which is number of page views. We have a lot of sources here which can give you ideas on how to create new content, how to create the content your users and currently are searching and are interested in. And by introducing newer content, more hot topics, you eventually may have more visitors coming to your website. So we will now dig into Google Analytics and trends a bit more. But if you're a news customer, I really encourage you to go to Google News Consumer. If you're interested in expanding to different markets, you can go Market Finder and Consumer Barometer to see what people are exploring online. And if you want to hear other publishers and other internet website owners, developers who successfully implemented these tips, you can read our success stories. So let's first check Google Analytics. In Google Analytics, you can see your analytics audience overview. You can see the behavior overview and acquisition overview, which helps you understand where is your audience, what are they looking at, what do they want, what do they need, and when they come on the website, how do they behave, where do they spend time, how far do they scroll in your website, how many pages do they see per session. And the acquisition piece, how do they come to your website, the traffic sources. And we have introduced a QR code and the link here, so you can go ahead and see templates that you can use with Data Studio. This is for purely analytics. Again, there's a possibility to link your Google AdSense and your Google Analytics, which which gives you the possibility to check both metrics and both reports in each product. And when you link your Google Analytics and AdSense, it is extremely powerful because it gives you report cards to show your traffic sources, audience, and most viewed pages. So if you have not done already, please follow these steps to link your Google Analytics and AdSense accounts to start using this powerful combination. Now I will switch back to Joseph, and he will introduce you Google Trends and where to find new ideas to get traffic.
Thank you, Jada. So yes, Google Trends is an amazing tool that is available to everyone. You can all access it through your general Google accounts, and we really recommend you take it into account when you're creating content, when you're thinking about what to add to your website. This is very, very useful. We came up with 3 essential lessons for us. The first one being that we are all, in general, searching for the same things at the same time. We're actually not that original. So for instance, every year searches for knitting peak in December because the winter is coming and people want to get warm. Whereas we all know that for a lot of us, December 31st is a party event for the new year. And that is the top day for cocktail searches. And not surprisingly as well, the top day for hangover cures comes on January 1st. So it's really something to take into account. But the second lesson is that search data can also give us very interesting insights on different cultures in different places and how different terms can be related to different ways of thinking. So for instance, in Italy, where pizza comes from, the focus is generally on the recipe itself or really on the homemade pizza. Whereas in the US, for instance, we've seen that the searches are a bit more original, with fruit pizza being a top search, or a different sort of crust with cauliflower. Similarly, football for most of the planet is a sport that you play with the foot, but in the US they do it differently, and it's the only country where American football is more searched than the term that they use for soccer. Again, the last and third lesson is that the search data shows us how the world is changing in real time, how consumption methods evolve, what people do really in real time. So, for instance, global watch time for coffee recipe videos has increased over 200% year over year for quite some time. And if we look at what people are actively searching for at the moment, with the specific condition of course, the COVID, people have been looking for things to do at home, but also other searches that are quite interesting. If we look at the core themes right now in real time, we broke it down into 5 different categories. The first one is what people know, what type of information they seek at a specific time, and from which sources. So if we look at the situation today, on the next slide, sorry, in the UK, sorry, excuse me, over the last 2 weeks, people have really been sort of searching what is open near me, rather than what is open in general, because of course, most of the world has been under lockdown over the last few weeks, but now things are opening up, but people still don't want to go too far. So they really look for something that is in their proximity. If we go to the next slide, we'll see that it's also interesting to look at how people make a living, changes in their mostly employment. And of course, again, this has been sadly quite affected by the situation, but self-employment has been really, really increasing, and searching for new job opportunities and government support schemes has also increased. If we look at how people feel, which looks really at the well-being, the different connections, how they spend their time, we can see that regular exercise, for instance, in the UK, has been really, really important. We can see that surfing has become more important, open water swimming, fishing. Those are all activities that people are now on the lookout for, and they want to spend time outside. If we look at how people learn, this can be from formal to informal education, as well as for adults, but also for children. Something that has been, of course, another sort of consequence of COVID is that a lot of people have had to look after close ones, especially children and the elderly over the past few weeks. And this, again, can be seen in the trends numbers. If we look at how to get rid of something, this has been, again, more and more important over the past few weeks, because people look for how to do things. They really looked for education online through YouTube, but also through all of the amazing resources that are available online. And it went from how to make jam to how to get rid of ants. Again, Trends also in fact offers you really good insights on what people are doing, how they're spending their time and money. And over the last 2 weeks, we really see, as we saw in the previous section, people are really looking to spend more time outside, look with the search for nature reserve increasing only more, but also that the economy seems to be starting to recover in the UK with searches such as in travel, cars, or real estate going back up. So Google Trends gives you a lot of insights, but it's also important to know how to use it. The first part when you arrive on the landing page is to choose a specific word that you want to look into. Here, a big piece of advice is that when you choose a word, you'll see that below the word is a category. Here, we use the example of ice cream, which is in the category of frozen desserts. It's really good to use these categories because this will give you a broader picture than just the term ice cream and give you a better understanding of that actual theme, let's say. If we go to the next slide, we'll see that you can also customize your search to a great extent. So here again, we have taken the example of the UK, but you can really choose to focus on specific countries or not. You can choose which categories to look into, and you can also choose what type of search people have been using over which time frame. So again, go and try it out. Something that is also very, very important is that below, if you scroll down a bit below the fold, as we say, you can see that there's a very interesting tab, which are related queries and related topics. Here, because you can see that with the words that you've entered, you can see what links people are making and what topics are linked to this specific word. And this will really allow you to make linkages within your content, but also attract better advertisers. Again, you can really compare through the tool as well. So here, we use an example where we compare ice cream and cookies, which could probably be seen as two types of food, but also two types of desserts, and see how one has been performing compared to the other. We can see that apparently for cookies, there's been a recent surge in the traffic, but that is now coming down, whereas ice cream seems to be gaining momentum again as the summer comes. There's also a very important if you use the tool more and more, you'll really become a Transpower user. You'll really become an expert in using the tool, which will sort of seem like you might not know where to look in the beginning. The more you use it, the more you'll be able to take out a lot of information from it. And one way of doing so is to combine topics and categories to obtain more precision on exactly what you're looking into. So again, we really advise you that when comparing different topics, you really go and use all the filtering options that you have. And here, this example is, I think, a very telling one, because we've looked at the importance of sustainability in shopping over the last 5 years in the UK. And we can clearly see that sustainability as a topic has become more and more important since 5 years, which is not surprising, I think, to any of us. But this really shows you through the Google Trends tool that this is really the case, and that you should probably consider it. Again, another important resource that is available on Google Trends is the trending topics section. So you access it on the home page. You'll see the 3 lines menu on the top left, or top left, and you can choose then the trending topics. This will give you what the trending topics are, sort of by country. So if we look at Monday, 15th of June, 2020, there was a lot of activity around Primark, Fortnite, but also Marcus Rashford with his declarations that he made. And you can see that then, if you're creating content, these are typically the topics that you should be mentioning. So I think this is where we bring back Jada, and this is the really end of the presentation. The next section really offers you a lot of self-service resources, and we really encourage you to use them. And once you get the presentation, to go through them.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joseph. It was amazing. I just want to quickly mention that our Google Help Center provides all the information you need, from the articles to support options, opting into our Google AdSense performance tips, which is customized for you, that you receive in your inbox every month to get optimization tips. If we have new topics, new announcements, you can also find them here. You can talk to each other, you can answer each other's question, and you can ask each other in our community. You can reach our support teams, again, by accessing in Google AdSense Help Center. You can give product feedback. So I read in the comment section that people had some comments about auto ads and native and other features. So you can go on the product UI feedback and give feedback here. We also introduce a lot of new videos for you guys, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel by smashing the like button below. And we hold very regular webinars, so also please stay tuned. As well as if you're an Ads Manager user, we have included the links here, and you can check if Google Ads products are running in good form here in this dashboard. So thank you so much for tuning in. We have a couple of minutes left, so we can try to take some questions. Let's see. So I will start from the beginning. So there's a question about, is 728 by 90 actually better than the larger 970 by 90? So my point here would be, if the smaller ad size is more common, so it all comes to supply and demand. If advertisers are creating smaller ads more, there may be a better higher chance for that. But if you have space on your website, I always encourage our publishers to use bigger ad sizes, the bigger space, because the smaller ad sizes will fit into that space anyway. So you can, if you have space, you can introduce 970 by 250, so a real big masthead. And if in that auction time a smaller ad unit wins, it will still show. Joseph, if you take a question.
One question about, can blocking ads increase the revenue, or does it always reduce it? So in general, it will most likely reduce it, because if you block an ad source, you're blocking yourself to demand. So you're not going to access other resources by other demand by blocking certain categories. You're only going to close yourself off to certain bids. So it most likely reduce it, and not likely to increase it.
Perfect. I'll take another question. If I run auto ads and not block anything, is there any optimization I may still do? honestly, auto ads have been really performing better and better by every feedback we receive from you. So this is our performed setting right now. When you have your website, just introduce auto ads and let Google do it for you, because we will automatically filter out any unwanted ads which is not policy compliant and hits our bodyguards on the Google Ads side. So my two very simple optimization tips is for anyone is to introduce auto ads and opt into automatic experiments, which whenever there's something, Google will experiment these new features for you and give you results of these features, and then also implement them automatically for you. So we have the Google AdSense brand is now 17 years old, and we have over 20 years of experience in ads space, and by these we are really optimizing all of our products, so we can let Google do all of these for you.
If I look at the next question, it would be around won't auto ads remove from users some of the control of the viewability metric? I wouldn't say so, especially because through auto ads you can have access to formats such as anchor and vignette, which have very high visibility. And if you allow these formats, you're actually taking control of your viewability, because you're promoting it up as these two formats have very high visibility. So I would say no.
Perfect. Okay, we are out of time, so thank you everyone for joining. I'm sorry for the ones we could not get to your questions. We will be sending out the deck, and in the deck there are links to Help Center articles which you can read more. And please reply our feedback survey, which we will send out right after the webinar. And in that feedback survey, you can also leave your questions, and we'll try to include them in our next sessions, and we'll let you know. So thank you so much for tuning in on a Friday. And thank you, Joseph.
Thank you, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. I really hope you got a good sense of optimizing your AdSense account, and we are really looking forward to see you in our next sessions.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.